Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan and I am just one reader. Of course, you already know that. And today you are joining me for another recent reads wrap-up. Now, I feel like I haven't posted wrap-ups in forever, for the longest time. And that has partly been because I've been reading It by Stephen King, which is this beast, this behemoth of a novel, which is 1,500 pages long, and I am halfway through it, and I will probably be reading this for the next couple of weeks. I am slowly but surely making my way through this beast, and suffice it to say so far that I am enjoying this so much. This is delicious. It's incredible. He really captures the essence of children's sexuality and children's fantasies in general, and that's what I am enjoying the most about this book. So yeah, this book is really long, and that's why I haven't been posting videos on actual books that I have read recently, because this has taken quite a bit of my time, as you would imagine with a book like this. So yeah, you can hang on to my review of It by Stephen King. It will be coming right up in the following weeks. But in the meantime, I did read two books that I want to talk about today. So these are recent reads numbers 47 and 48 that I have read in 2017. One of these books I absolutely adored, and I went as far as saying that it's my favorite book of the year. And the other one I deeply disliked. So I'm gonna start with a book that I really adored. Fortune Smiles by Adam Johnson is a collection of 5 stories, which are not technically short stories just because they're not short, but they're not novellas. So they are, I guess, short stories, but they are longer than your average short story would be. Now, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It's that good. There's only a handful of books that I have given 5 out of 5 stars this year, so that goes to tell you that I enjoyed it very much, but I also thought on a critical level it was amazing, and I really think it is. Something that this collection has going for it as a very big as a very big asset, is that it focuses on characters that we rarely see in literature. These are characters that are usually voiceless, or that are just not portrayed in art or in literature very much. An example of this is my favorite story in the collection, which I think is the most superior, the best story in the collection, which is about a pedophile. And we are pretty much inside this man's head, and we follow his fantasies, his thoughts, his desires, his urges. He has some... in the story, he encounters some children, and we follow exactly what happens in his mind as he talks to these children, as he approaches these children, and how he fights, or rather how he copes with his urges and his impulses. It's an amazing story, and overall I think it's a perfect collection because every story is perfect. Every story in here, each and every one of them, has something that makes it unique, that makes it fresh, that makes it playful, but also connects it to the rest of the stories in the collection. And it's just an amazing work of imagination and of technique. The writing style is very accessible. It's really beautiful, but very accessible and easy to read. Sometimes you could have some trouble getting into each story, because each story has its own world in a way. I mean, they're all set in pretty much our own world, but with a slight twist or with something tweaked or changed that makes it special and unique. So it kind of takes a little bit getting used to those tiny little things, or the situation in which the characters are in. But overall, I think it's a very accessible, easy to read collection, and you should really try it out if you enjoy short stories in particular. So yeah, this is an amazing reading experience, and my favorite, or one of my favorite books of the year so far, for sure. So that was the book that I really adored. Now, moving on to the book that I really disliked, A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James. But I am just so glad that I actually finished reading this book. Looks like we made it! Hallelujah! Hallelujah! I'm just incredibly excited just for having finished it, for having pushed myself to the limit, for, keeping it up and sticking up with it. But I can't say that I liked it, that I enjoyed it. I can't say that this was for me or that it worked out for me at all. Now, my overall reaction is a negative one. I don't think this is a great book, at least not for me, emphasis, for me. But there are some redeeming qualities or some aspects that I can definitely see that a lot of people would really like and would really find incredibly valuable and amazing about this book. Now, I want to talk about just the three main reasons why this book just did not get along with yours truly, your favorite Mexican booktuber. Wink. Firstly, and most importantly, the writing style. The writing style that Marlon James uses in this novel, I found it was incredibly pretentious. I actually think this is the most pretentiously written novel that I've read ever in my life, ever in my entire life, my 25 years on this planet, on this earth. This is the most pretentiously written book that I've ever come across. He uses this kind of, not all the time, but most of the book is written in this like Jamaican dialect, patois, incorrect English thing that has some hints of French and Hispanic traces thrown in, which, I understand what he was going for. I understand where he was coming from and what he was going for. But it was so frustrating and so annoying. I know that he was trying to be realistic and unique, and he definitely made it unique, but it was just such a frustrating experience. I really, really don't think the language worked for me. It just pulled me away. It held me at a distance, and it just completely disjointed the experience for me, and it broke the rhythm of the language, of the experience. So no, I just hated the writing. It was the most pretentious thing I have ever read. Now, at first, the first 200, 300 pages of the novel are easier, I think, because the chapters are very short. Still, they take forever to get through, but they are at least shorter. And I was finding myself feeling very stupid and very dumb, but at least I was getting some information and some bits and pieces of what was going on. So that was good enough. That was enough for me to, continue on with the book and push myself forward. Now, when I reached page 120, I put it down. I wanted to burn the book because I was just not understanding shit. And I posted a video here on my channel saying that I wanted to DNF the book because I was just done with it. I'd had enough. And some of you guys had amazing responses in the comment section. Some of you guys told me, yes, go ahead, DNF it. It's not worth it. Just go ahead, enjoy your life, enjoy reading, enjoy other books on your TBR. Some other people in the comments told me, no, don't DNF it. Just push it forward. Just, man up, basically. Stick up with it and you will be rewarded. And some other people told me, put it down for a minute or for a couple of days, read something else, get it out of your system, clean your mind, and then see if you want to pick it back up. So that's what I did. I put it down. I sort of cleansed my palate, reading Fortune Smiles, actually, and it. And then I picked it back up again. So I really started getting into it, but then I got to page 300 and the writing style just got plain ridiculous. Just plain ridiculous. The chapters became far longer than before, like really, really long chapters. And he just started writing in stream of consciousness because why not? Let's make this novel even harder than it is already. So he started writing everything else, but on top, on stream of consciousness writing style. So there were just entire chapters that were one big sentence that didn't make any sense. I was just following along, not really knowing what it was about, what I was reading, just following along and nodding like a stupid automaton. So eventually I decided, yes, I want to read this book, but I'm going to read it in my own way, on my own terms. So I just started skim reading, just scanning through the chapters, trying to get as much information out as I could, as I was able to, and to the best of my ability. That's how I finished the last 100 pages or couple hundred pages of this book, because I just couldn't have it anymore. So that's how I read it. Not the most perfect reading experience, but that's how I read it. I did mark it on Goodreads as read, and I gave it 3 stars. I marked it as read because I think I read enough, and I think I got enough to feel like I read it. But I admit that I didn't read it, the way that you're supposed to read it. But it was just impossible. Marlon James, why do you do this to me, to your readers? So that's the biggest reason why I did not get along with this book, the writing. Secondly, the characters. The characters were just incredibly flat for me. I did not feel anything, basically. There were just people that sometimes did drugs and killed each other, but they meant shit to me. And the third reason that just did it for me and why I didn't like this book at all was that the plot itself and the setting and the themes and the topics, basically what the book is about, was just the most uninteresting, boring thing for me. It's about Jamaica. I have nothing against Jamaica. I just don't know anything about Jamaica, and I read this book. I started reading this book hoping that I would learn something about it, and I learned shit because this was just an incomprehensible, incredibly annoying, frustrating novel full of insanity. It was just the most pretentious thing ever, and I didn't understand or learn anything. And the plot itself is about Bob Marley. It centers around Bob Marley, who I don't really care at all about. I don't even know who he is. I sort of know that he was a singer and he was kind of important. I don't know him. I don't know if I could recognize him in a picture. That's how ignorant I am about these topics. I don't know what kind of music he played or sang or made. I don't even know if I've listened to one of his songs. I know nothing about this world or these topics. And then the rest of the plot centers basically around violent gang members, members of gangs and politicians and politics in Jamaica, and then there's the CIA gets involved, and it's just ridiculously boring for me. I don't care for those types of plots or things, so it just didn't work for me. So I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because I thought there was some merit, absolutely. I mean, the book won the Man Booker, for crying out loud, but it was just not for me, and I can totally recognize when a book is for me and when it isn't, and this one is not for me. I will be giving this away to somebody who will actually enjoy it and take something from it. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? Have you read Fortune Smiles by Adam Johnson or anything else by Adam Johnson? Have you read A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James? What do you think about it? Do you agree or disagree with me, and why? Let me know and we will talk. Thank you for watching. I am just one reader.